Unshakeable, Your Financial Freedom Playbook by Tony Robbins with Peter Mallouk. Picture this. It's 2008, and the world feels like it's spiraling into chaos. The stock market is plummeting, erasing fortunes in the blink of an eye. Those seemingly invincible Wall Street giants? They're crumbling like sandcastles at high tide. Millions of ordinary folks are watching their jobs, homes, and life savings disappear into thin air. Fear spreads faster than gossip at a high school reunion. Here's where it gets interesting. Even billionaires, yes, people who swim in money like Scrooge McDuck, are calling one man, panic dripping from their voices. Their cash is locked up tight, credit has evaporated, and suddenly they're facing something they never thought possible, losing it all. That man answering those desperate calls? Tony Robbins. And watching this global meltdown, seeing the panic and suffering everywhere, something clicked for him. He refused to sit back while everyday people got played like pawns in a game with rules nobody explained to them. So he went on a mission. He leveraged his connections to meet with over 50 of the world's sharpest financial minds, legends like Warren Buffett, Vanguard founder Jack Bogle, and brilliant hedge fund mastermind Ray Dalio. These are the folks who don't just weather financial storms, they know how to dance in the rain and come out thriving. He asked them one beautifully simple question. In this roller coaster world of chaos and uncertainty, what are the real rules for winning at money? How can regular people achieve not just financial security, but genuine, lasting freedom? What he discovered became his #1 New York Times bestseller, Unshakeable, a book that sold over 1 million copies. And here's the kicker that shows you who Tony really is. Every single penny of profit has gone to feeding families in need through Feeding America. Today we're going to break down that wisdom for you. Here's my promise. By the time we're done, you'll understand the straightforward, timeless strategies the world's wealthiest investors use to sleep soundly at night. You'll discover how to transform fear into your secret weapon, spot the sneaky traps Wall Street sets, and most importantly, build a financial future that's genuinely, absolutely unshakable. Let's start with a story. A guy's walking down a path at twilight when suddenly he stops dead. Right there in the middle of the path is what looks like a deadly snake, coiled and ready to strike. His heart hammers, adrenaline floods his system, and he bolts for his life. The next morning, with sunlight streaming down, he cautiously returns to the same spot. He looks down and laughs at himself. It wasn't a snake at all, just a harmless piece of rope. For most of us, the stock market is exactly that snake on the path. We've been programmed to see it as this dangerous, unpredictable beast that could strike without warning. News channels blast scary headlines about volatility and chaos. Serious-looking pundits warn about the next inevitable crash. So what do most people do? They either avoid the path completely, parking their money in savings accounts earning basically nothing, or they tiptoe around nervously, ready to flee at the slightest hint of trouble. But the investing masters Tony interviewed, they see the rope. They understand some fundamental truths about the market that turn their fear into confidence. The first and most crucial truth: corrections are as normal as seasons changing. What's a correction anyway? Just financial jargon for when the market drops at least 10% from its peak. Sounds terrifying, right? But here's a mind-blowing fact. Since 1900, the stock market has experienced a correction roughly once every single year. Let that sink in. If you live to 85, you'll experience about as many market corrections as birthdays. They're not some freak accident. They're a season, like autumn or spring. They arrive, do their thing, and leave. And how long do they typically stick around? The average correction wraps up in just 54 days. not even 2 full months. It's a storm that blows over, often before people really start freaking out. But what about the big scary one, the bear market, where things plunge 20% or more? That's the monster keeping people awake at night. Yet, here's another truth bomb. Less than 20% of corrections actually become bear markets. That means 80% of the time, these scary downturns we worry about are just temporary turbulence. If you panic and bail, you're basically jumping out of the plane right before it levels off and starts climbing again. This brings us to the third truth. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can consistently predict where the market's headed. Not those slick-talking experts on television, not the Wall Street economists in their fancy suits, not the newsletter writers predicting doom until they eventually get lucky. Warren Buffett puts it perfectly. The only value of stock forecasters is to make fortune tellers look good. If the greatest minds in finance admit they can't time the market, what makes us think we've got it figured out? Spoiler alert, we don't. Trying to jump in and out at perfect moments is like trying to catch lightning in a bottle while blindfolded. So if corrections are routine and nobody can predict them, what's the big picture? The fourth truth is the real game changer. Over the long haul, the stock market always climbs. Think about the past 36 years. We've had wars, terrorist attacks, political scandals, and the worst financial meltdown since the Great Depression. Each year, the market experienced an average drop of over 14%. Yet in 27 of those 36 years, that's 75% of the time, the market finished positive. Why? Because the market reflects the economy. And a vibrant economy, powered by innovation, growing populations, and human creativity, expands over time. When you invest in a broad market index fund tracking something like the S&P 500, you're becoming a part owner of America's 500 largest companies. You're betting on human progress. And as Warren Buffett reminds us, for 240 years, betting against America has been a terrible mistake. This brings us to the most critical lesson about fear. If you try dodging the downturns, you'll almost certainly miss the best days. And missing just a handful of the best days can absolutely devastate your wealth. Between 1996 and 2015, the S&P 500 returned an average of 8.2% annually. Fantastic returns. But if you were sitting on the sidelines and missed just the top 10 trading days during that entire 20-year stretch, your return would have been slashed nearly in half, down to 4.5%. Missed the top 20 days, your return crashes to a measly 2.1%, and if you missed the top 30 days, your return vanishes to zero. Gone. Here's the real kicker. 6 of the 10 best days happened within 2 weeks of the 10 worst days. The moments of maximum fear are almost always followed by moments of maximum opportunity. So what's the greatest danger in investing? It's not a correction. It's not even a bear market. The greatest danger is being out of the market. Courage gets rewarded. Fear doesn't. Once you grasp these truths, that snake on the path transforms into rope. You don't have to live scared anymore. But there's another enemy lurking, one that's way more sneaky than market volatility. It's not the market itself, but the very industry claiming to help you navigate it. Jack Bogle, the legendary Vanguard founder, broke it down beautifully. Imagine the stock market delivers 7% returns over 50 years. At that rate, every dollar you invest grows to $30. Pretty sweet deal, right? But now, let's say you invest through a typical actively managed mutual fund. You know, those funds run by professionals claiming they can beat the market. For this service, they charge fees. And when you add up all the hidden costs, expense ratios, transaction costs, cash drag, they can easily hit 2% annually, sometimes more. So your 7% return becomes 5%. What does that do to your money? Over 50 years, that same dollar doesn't grow to $30 anymore. It grows to just 10. Let that marinate for a second. You put up 100% of the capital. You took 100% of the risk. And you got just 33% of the reward. The other 2/3 of your potential nest egg went straight into Wall Street's pockets. Fees are like termites, silently devouring the foundation of your financial future. And what are you getting for these high fees? Underperformance. Study after study shows the same jaw-dropping result. Over any long-term period, 96% of actively managed mutual funds fail to beat the market. You're paying premium prices for a service that fails to deliver 96% of the time. It's like ordering a Ferrari and getting a rusty bicycle. This is Wall Street's dirty little secret. So what's the solution? It's almost embarrassingly simple. Low-cost index funds. An index fund doesn't try to be clever or beat the market. It simply buys and holds all the stocks in a broad market index, aiming to match the market's return at rock-bottom costs. By doing this, you eliminate high fees and the human error plaguing active funds. This isn't some fringe theory. It's the advice straight from the masters: Warren Buffett, Jack Bogle, David Swensen. They all agree that for regular folks, indexing is hands down the smartest path to wealth. But dodging high fees is only half the battle. You also need to navigate the treacherous world of financial advice. Here's where things get sketchy. About 90% of so-called financial advisors are actually brokers. They're salespeople. Their job is selling you financial products for commissions. They operate under a weak legal standard called suitability. This means the products they sell only have to be suitable, not necessarily what's actually best for you. If there are two funds, one low-cost and perfect for your needs, the other high-cost and mediocre but pays a fat commission, which do you think they're incentivized to sell? Under the suitability standard, they can legally push the one making them more money, as long as it's suitable. Then there's a much smaller group, about 10%, called fiduciaries. A fiduciary, like a doctor or lawyer, has a legal and ethical obligation to always act in your best interest. They don't accept commissions. Their advice must be conflict-free. Why would you ever work with someone who doesn't have to put your interests first? You wouldn't. The problem is most people don't even know this distinction exists. And the industry, with its confusing titles like wealth manager and financial consultant, works hard to keep it that way. Now that we've cleared away the fear and avoided the industry traps, we can finally dive into the Master's Playbook. After interviewing over 50 of the world's greatest investors, Tony discovered that while their specific strategies varied, they all operated from shared fundamental principles. He calls them the Core Four. The first principle, don't lose money. Sounds obvious, right? But it's the foundation of all successful investing. Warren Buffett famously has two rules. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Why is this so crucial? Because of the brutal math of loss. If you invest $100,000 and lose 50%, you're down to $50,000. How much do you need to make just to break even? Not 50%. You need 100% return on your remaining $50,000 just to get back to square one. The deeper the hole, the exponentially harder it is to climb out. The masters obsess over avoiding strikeouts, not hitting home runs. The second principle, seek asymmetric risk-reward. This sounds fancy, but the concept is straightforward. You want investments where the potential upside is way bigger than the potential downside. Paul Tudor Jones, one of history's greatest traders, uses a 5-to-1 rule. He looks for opportunities where he can risk $1 with realistic expectations of making 5. With that ratio, he can be wrong 80% of the time and still not lose money. It's about stacking the odds so heavily in your favor that you can withstand inevitable mistakes and still come out ahead. How can regular people apply this? Buy when there's blood in the streets. During market crashes, when fear peaks and everyone's selling, assets go on sale. That's the moment of maximum pessimism and maximum opportunity. You can snag world-class businesses at bargain prices, giving you limited downside because they've already fallen so far, and enormous upside potential. The third principle, tax efficiency. It's not what you earn, it's what you keep. Taxes are the single biggest expense in most people's lives, yet most investors completely ignore their impact. Simple example. If you buy a stock and sell within a year, your profit gets taxed as short-term capital gains at the same high rate as regular income. Hold that same stock over a year, it's taxed at the much lower long-term capital gains rate. Actively managed funds, with their constant buying and selling, are tax nightmares. They generate endless short-term gains passed on to you. Low-cost index funds, with their buy-and-hold approach, are incredibly tax-efficient. Being mindful of taxes can add decades of income to your retirement. The fourth principle, diversification. You've heard, don't put all your eggs in one basket. This is investing's only free lunch. By spreading investments across different asset classes, stocks, bonds, real estate, different markets and countries, and across time by investing systematically every month, you dramatically reduce risk without sacrificing returns. During the lost decade, from 2000 to 2009, the S&P 500 went basically nowhere. If all your money was in large U.S. stocks, you got nothing. But if you were diversified across international stocks, emerging markets, and real estate, you still made handsome profits. Diversification ensures no single event or market downturn can wipe you out. It's the key to a smooth ride and peaceful sleep. So there's the playbook. Know the facts to conquer fear. Avoid high fees and conflicted advice. Live by the core four. Don't lose. Seek asymmetric risk-reward. Be tax efficient and diversify. But there's one final piece to this puzzle. The most important one. Because even with the perfect strategy and best advice, there's one person who can still sabotage your entire financial future. That person is you. The science of success in any field, Tony's discovered, is 80% psychology and only 20% mechanics. You can have the world's best blueprint, but if your mindset's wrong, you'll fail. Our brains are 2-million-year-old survival machines. They're not designed to make us happy or rational investors. They're designed to scan for threats and avoid pain. That's why we fall for so many psychological traps. There's confirmation bias, where we only seek information confirming what we already believe. There's recency bias, where we mistakenly think whatever's been happening recently will continue forever. There's overconfidence, where we think we're smarter than the market. And there's negativity bias, where a single loss feels way more painful than a gain of the same size feels good. These biases make us do exactly the wrong thing at exactly the wrong time. Buy high when we're greedy and sell low when we're scared. So how do we silence this inner enemy? The solution is having a system. Simple written rules you create when you're calm and rational, that you commit to following no matter what. Your system is your checklist, your flight plan keeping you on course even when the storm hits and your emotions are screaming at you to panic. And this brings us to the ultimate purpose of this journey. The goal isn't just accumulating money, because financial wealth without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Tony tells the heartbreaking story of Robin Williams. Here was someone with everything our culture says matters: fame, fortune, millions of adoring fans. Yet he suffered deeply. In the end, He made everyone in the world happy except himself. True wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the quality of our lives, living in what Tony calls a beautiful state instead of a suffering state. A beautiful state is joy, gratitude, love, and passion. A suffering state is anger, fear, frustration, and worry. And here's the most profound decision you can make. You can decide right now to live in a beautiful state, no matter what. You can decide you're 100% responsible for your own happiness. Life's too short to suffer. How? One simple tool is gratitude. You can't be grateful and angry simultaneously. You can't be grateful and fearful at the same time. By consciously focusing on what you appreciate, you change your biochemistry, your focus, and your life. This leads to the final beautiful secret. The secret to living is giving. When you shift focus from your own needs to others' needs, something magical happens. Scarcity disappears, replaced by abundance. Find a cause bigger than yourself, something you can contribute to, and you'll discover richness money can never buy. This is what it means to be truly wealthy. This is what it means to be truly unshakable. Reflecting on the wisdom in Unshakeable, it's clear its power doesn't come from some complicated secret formula for picking stocks. Its genius lies in simplicity and profound understanding of human nature. The book is less a financial manual and more a guide to mastering your own mind. Its central message, financial freedom, comes not from outsmarting the market, but from outsmarting yourself. What Tony does so masterfully is take a subject that feels intimidating, complex, and exclusive, and make it accessible to everyone. He replaces Wall Street jargon with timeless common-sense wisdom. He shows us the path to wealth isn't paved with risky bets and hot tips, but with discipline, patience, and unwavering focus on fundamental truths. The most powerful lesson for me is reframing fear. The idea that market downturns aren't catastrophes to avoid, but opportunities to embrace, is a complete paradigm shift. He gives us courage to see a sale where others see crisis, to be greedy when others are fearful. This single perspective shift, if truly adopted, can change someone's financial destiny. So how can you start putting these powerful ideas into practice today? Here are 3 simple actions you can take right now. First, become a detective and investigate your own investments. What are you actually paying in fees? If you have a 401k or any investment account, find that statement and look for the expense ratio. You might be shocked. Knowledge is the first step to taking back control. Second, automate your financial future. The single most powerful habit is paying yourself first. Set up automatic transfers, no matter how small, from checking into a low-cost investment account every month. Let compounding work its magic while you sleep. Don't wait until you have enough to invest. Start now. Third, begin practicing real wealth today. You don't need to wait until you're a millionaire to live in a beautiful state. Take 2 minutes right now to practice gratitude. Think of 3 things you're truly grateful for and really feel that appreciation. This small daily habit will enrich your life more than any stock market gain ever could. In the end, Unshakeable is about freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from being a victim of a system designed to profit from your ignorance, and freedom to live a life of joy, contribution, and true abundance, regardless of your bank account balance. It teaches us the ultimate fortress isn't built of money, but of peace of mind. That was a summary of Unshakeable by Tony Robbins. We've covered the main ideas today, but a summary is like looking at a photograph of a great feast. You can see what's on the table, but you can't taste the food. The real power of this book is in the stories, details, and how the principles build on one another. This summary is your invitation to the feast. If the ideas we discussed sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just learning, it's an investment in a future where you're not just financially secure, but truly, completely unshakable. A link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to ensure you don't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and growing together.